Warning: Sir Rodcast can lead to an array of side effects. Symptoms like nausea, vomiting, explosive diarrhea, sudden distaste for previously loved foods, and an inexplicable headache might emerge, persistently nagging like a bad song stuck in your head. Prolonged Sir Rodcast exposure, you might find yourself breaking out with rashes, skin blisters or peels, or developing a sudden wheeze, all of which signal a red alert. In such cases, halt all consumption of Sir Rodcasts and seek immediate medical attention. Sir Rodcast is not for the faint of heart. Proceed with caution and always keep your healthcare provider on speed dial for any unexpected misadventures.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce you to one of the nation's most exciting entertainers. He is the former creative director for So Deaf Recordings. He has one of the best-selling artist development books, The 10 Commandments of the Stage. All the way from Atlanta, Georgia, put your hands together for the Star Maker, Mr. One Man Show, Ollie Patterson's baby boy. Give it up for Sir Rod Patterson.
Welcome to another episode of It's a Rod Cast. Yes. Oh, we just knocking them on down. We are getting them in. I hope everybody's doing fine out there and got a lot of things in store for you. This will be episode number 4 of the Sir Rod Cast, and we're going to start off things a little different. I want to introduce a new segment today, and the new segment is called, We Just Talking. We Just Talking. We Just Talking, it basically going to be about some current affairs and certain things that are happening right now that I would love to address. And what I want to talk to you about right now is, I don't know if you guys are tuned into Netflix, but there's a new episode on there that I've been watching that just had me mystified. Baby Reindeer. Yeah, Baby Reindeer. That show is a trip. If you haven't got a chance, check it out. Baby Reindeer on, it's kind of wild. It's basically about a stalker that stalks this guy. And I can relate to that a little bit. I have my own Baby Reindeer story. Yeah. I want to share it with you. I'm going to change locations and dates and times. So just like in the real Baby Reindeer, people are trying to look up and find out who this person was. So I don't want you guys out there trying to figure it out. But out on tour, I was at a show, and someone that from my hometown just happened to be at this show. Out of town, that was like crazy. We used to date when we were in middle school years ago. And it's been many, many years since I've seen this person. And so we shot the breeze at the show a little bit, and she said that she didn't stay too far from the venue. And afterwards, if I wanted, we could meet somewhere and get caught up, I had no hanky-panky in mind. It had been many years, and she had evidently changed, and I guess I've changed too. But, so I said, why not? There's nothing to risk at that. So exchange numbers, and so back at the hotel, I get a call saying that she was having car problems, and if I could come by her location, she could cook a home-cooked meal instead of trying to meet and do road food. I was like, it's okay. Why not? I get there, and we're talking, and there's nothing suspicious, anything going on. But at one point, now this is back in the day when they had photo albums. It's before the cell phone thing. Photo albums going on. And she said she wanted to show me some photos. I said, cool, that's fine. Show me some photos. Well, she pulls out 2 big photo albums. Big. And she's flipping through, and then I see some of her family and people we grew up with and some photos of people she dated. And I said, wow, this guy you dated kind of looks like me a little bit. She said, yeah, he does a little bit. And then she kind of flipped out, turned another page, and there was a photo of me. I said, oh, wow, you got that old photo? Many years back, you got that old photo. And then she flipped up another one. There was a photo of me running track. And then she flipped over another page, and then it was more photos of me doing shows and news clippings. And then she flipped over another one, and then it was a photo of my mother and my grandmother at my grandmother's 50th anniversary. And she had all these clippings. And then I realized then that I might be in trouble. It threw me off. This lady had books of me. And then I started thinking maybe this was no accident that she was at my show. So at the end, my mind started thinking, because I'm thinking, this was before the movie Misery, but it was a misery situation. Nobody knew where I was at. So I said, look, they want us to do an early sound check. And I just got the message. And so I'm going to have to cut dinner early, and I'll call you back. Man, I was so happy to get out that door. I jetted off. And I never, ever, ever, ever will put myself in that situation again. That's what I think the baby reindeer thing is. You would think it would be from people like me who are entertainers, who was exposed to a lot of different things. They would get stalkers. But this was about basically a regular guy being stalked. And so be careful out there. And also, you can't feed into it. You can't feed into it. You can't be mean. Still to this day, I get potential stalkers all the time online. Every other so months or so, somebody will come onto my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and like every photo I ever posted. And then they send a friend request, and then they send a direct message. And that's not normal behavior. It might be extreme fan behavior, but this day and time, you never know who's unstable. So you just can't play into it, unfortunately, because you don't know what you're dealing with. And unfortunately, that has expired a lot of entertainers and other people's lives. It expired their birth certificates, I like to say, because they didn't think things through. And some people you have to handle a little more delicately. So that was my baby reindeer story. Now the next segment of the program is, it's time for the good news of the day. Good news and blues news. But first, real short, real simple and sweet. In the good news section from the Good News Network, said check it out. One thing I wanted to point out today, there are new rule requirements for U.S. airlines to give automatic refunds for canceled or delayed flights and late baggage in the U.S. All the airlines have to abide by these rules now, which is awesome. It was a lot of frustration out there and angry folks, bags not arriving, I remember last year it was off the chain. I mean, one of the airlines, it was like, I think it was Thanksgiving or one of the holidays that they just dropped the ball. And I remember just before COVID hit, it was just like I had bought an airline ticket, supposed to be going to Memphis, I think, was flying in somewhere for the Blues Doctors thing. And all the shows, Chicago, I think. All the shows got canceled, and I postponed my flight and never took it. And it's like $200 and something odd just gone in the ether. Probably my fault. I should have contacted the credit card people, but we didn't know how long COVID was going to last. And so we thought it was going to be like a short little thing. Obviously, you know the rest of the story. So that is real good news that that the government is locking down on some of these things. And it's good to get compensated for the inconveniences. So I think that's good news. Now let me give you some blues news. Yes, blues news. What we got in the blues news section? First, there is a festival. That's coming up in the blues world. All right, I pulled this last night from one of my blues contributors on Facebook. There is the 11th annual St. George Blues Festival, Fort DuPont, and that is Saturday, June 1st and Sunday, June 2nd. John Pierre. So that's going to be going on in Delaware City, the St. George Blues Festival, Fort DuPont. I guess that's the address. I don't know where that is. Anyway, I'll post it on go to the Instagram, Saradcast Instagram, and you'll see the actual poster on there because I'm chopping it up. I don't have my glasses on. And it's on a screen too far for my little bitty eyes to see. But anyway, that is a blues festival, and that sounds like another one that Sarad and the Blues Doctors need to be a part of. Maybe we'll be on the 12th annual one. I know all the festivals are booked up for now, but maybe next year. Go and check that out if you're in the area. I think that's in Delaware. Check that out. So that's all we got for the blues news section. And this brings us to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be introducing a new segment to the program. When I first started the very first episode, I said that you, my viewing audience, were going to be dictating how the show is developed. And what I'm going to share with you now is the top posts, my social media posts. But I make these motivational posts, and some get a whole lot more reaction than others. I decided to pull out the most current one that people are reacting on, surprisingly more than the others. And the actual post itself, I will be uploading onto the Saradcast Instagram page. And by the way, follow and like and share this podcast as well. So I'm going to share with you the post of the week that's getting a lot more traction than others, which is surprising to me because I made this post. I made a post maybe about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years now, originally on TikTok, but then I shared it on Instagram. And it was basically a post about humbling yourself. You see, I hang around a lot of musicians and a lot of flashy people. And in my life, I run across people that some people tend to like to show off, brag, if you will. You know, they get a new car or jewelry or whatever the thing is, a house, and they tend to brag. The spirit is very braggadocious. Anyway, I made in my post that you got to be careful when you just brag to people because you don't know where that person has been in their life. Like myself, in all my dealings in performing, I meet a lot of circles. And one of the people I was doing some work for was a basketball player who played in the NBA for like 16 years. And some of those years, this NBA player was making $23 million a year. Now, I went to his house. Now it's hard to describe what this man's house looked like, but I can put it in the ballpark of a castle. You know how you have those segways? His living room, you would need a segway to kind of just go through it. All marble floors, just chandeliers, everything over the top. And his basement had a full, like the bar Cheers? You know how they filmed that movie in Cheers, the bar? Well, just imagine that bar being someone's basement. I mean, the full bar. I mean, it was like a restaurant bar. It was his basement. That's where he did all this entertainment with the pool table. It could have been a bar. All he had to do was put a sign out. So when you expose, and then in the garage, there were the Bentleys and the Porsches and all that. And I don't know, 8-10 car garage. So when you go to someone else's house, your friends, and you want to celebrate them and you want to be happy for them. But if they come off a little braggadocious, you got to be careful. I got a friend that got a $3 million house. Very impressive. Very impressive. That's a nice house. My house is nice, but it's not no castle. And $3 million will get you a real nice house. I guess if you went out in the woods, it could get you pretty close to a castle, but not NBA 16 years, $23 million a year castle. Even him, the $3 million man, have to humble himself. There's always going to be somebody that's going to. So be happy for what you're blessed with. And that's why I try to tell people, I'm happy for you and I'm be blessed. But even with myself, I always humble myself because you don't know what the next person is sitting on, have, whatever. So just be happy and say, hey, I'm appreciative for my little bit and take care of my little bit. And I think that's the way God works. He'll bless you a little bit if you're appreciative. But I don't know about the bragging thing. Gotta be careful with that. But anyway, I'll put that full post on the Saradcast Instagram page. That is the top post of the week. And I'll share I got some out here. So the subject could be anything. But for some reason, people are gravitating towards the be careful, don't brag. Humble yourself. You ain't got to be sad looking and, oh, I'm so glad. But just be thankful for what you got and bless people for what they have. But don't brag. Don't. Don't do that. And this brings us to the next segment, which is one of my favorite, and that is, this brings us to Numbers Talk. Yeah. This is part 3 of the Sarad 333 story and how this number led me to doing what I am currently doing. You have to go back to the 2 more episodes to catch the beginning of the story. Ending where we left off on the last episode, I end up coming to Atlanta, and I came after contacting the Hilton, got the job at the Atlanta Hilton and Towers, and that's where the real journey really began, because I left St. Pete after my 3 angels told me I should be in Atlanta, called, now I'm in Atlanta. And things started falling in place immediately. I was working, when I got here, I was working 11 to 7 shift. 11 at night, you're a newbie, so they put you on 11 to 7 shift, which most time as a bellman, that's the least amount of money you're going to be able to make because all the activity happens in the day. I had 4 or 5 years experience as a bellman. So when I hit Atlanta, even 11 to 7, I made more money than I was making during the daytime in St. Petersburg Hilton and Towers. My hustle was strong. I made so much money that I was able to fly back, grab my fiance at the time, get an apartment, move. I was sleeping, when I first got here, I was sleeping on my cousin's couch. I told him all I needed was 30 days. He gave me that 30 days, and within 30 days, I made enough money to fly back, move into an apartment, move her up, rolling ever since. And then within 2 or 3 years, we had our first house, then our second house. I mean, everything was falling into place. It ended up being a 12-year journey because there was a lot of little things that I pulled a complete story in here, all the little details. See, while I was a bellman, I also was I was in school for graphic design. And around the time that those 3 angels appeared to me in the St. Pete Hilton and Towers, I was just about to graduate from getting my graphics art certificate. It was an adult education certificate anyway for graphic design, but I passed it. And around that time, that's when the angels showed up. I made the call. Everything fell right into place. So bellman in Atlanta with an art degree in graphics, I started knocking on doors, And I still had this desire to sing and dance and do everything. I wanted to be a performer. And so I started in Atlanta. There was a lot of music conferences, music events, because it was the mecca for hip hop. Jermaine Dupri, all those people was up here. And so I would go to these conferences and say, hey, I sing and I dance. And they would ignore me, because there was a million people sing and dance and back then, but I just so happened to be at one conference and someone was talking and they were talking about packaging, CD packaging and cassette tapes and T-shirts. And I said, hey, I can do that. I just got a graphics degree and I can design da-da-da-da. And then what I noticed, me and this one guy was having this conversation and somebody didn't have anything to do with the conversation, butted in and say, hey, can you design T-shirts? And then another person say, can you do business cards? And then I'm like, oh, these people are not paying me any attention about, being a singer and dancing and want to do that, but they cared about the graphics. Then a light bulb came on and I decided to call every record label in Atlanta and see if they had an art department. And there were only two that had an art department. That was So Def and LaFace Records. Well, I called them and I got the art directors on the phone and I said, hey, I just got a school and I'll come in. I don't want any money. I'll clean your art. I'll sweep the floors, whatever. So I got appointments with LaFace Records. There was a guy working there. I think I showed him my portfolio. I think he got a little intimidated. I think he thought I might try to take his job. That's my thought. But then So Def had a female working there. I don't know. She might have thought I was kind of cute, wasn't hard on the eyes. So she kept me around. And the rest is kind of like history. I go into a little more detail on other videos, but things worked out where she ended up leaving the So Def and I ended up getting her job. And I became the art director for the record label for like 5 years. And from there, that set me up to start my school touring company. And that left me into motivational speaking. And that led me into all the stuff. I ended up in South Korea talking to 6,000 kids. I've touched lives. I stopped kids from committing suicide. So all those angels leading me to Atlanta, all this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't listened and followed what was urging me to put myself in place. So 333 and me. That's why I end up naming the book. And that's why I wear the threes. That's the end of the story. Check out the book. We're going to be doing other numbers talk, all kind of number talks. So like right now, the numbers comes in waves. And the latest number waves 444 everywhere. 444. Well, I'm going to dive in and see what the meaning of 444 is. And if anybody else out there is seeing 444, saradcast@gmail.com. Send us emails. Give us your number story. saradcast@gmail.com. Got plenty of number stories. The next one we're going to look into see what 444 mean. I've been seeing that a lot. Anybody else out there been seeing it? Let us know. And this brings us into
Sarad, what you're doing? Hey, Sarad, what you doing?
What is Sir Rod doing? Oh, we got a lot of things going on. We're going to jump ahead. I reported, I got some stuff coming up before this, but I really want to touch base with, first we got to address the elephant in the room. I got my official Sir Rod hat on. I wear this from time to time in different shows that I do. I decided to put it on because I wanted to. What is Sir Rod doing? Listen, why I'm jumping ahead, we got I was invited to do a performance, and it's not my first time. I've done this over the years a lot, but a lot of people don't know this. I perform in prisons, and so I'm going to be performing at a prison, a women's facility in September, and also Sir Rod and the Blues Doctors. They working on I think some kind of live recording at Parchman Prison in Mississippi. So that's going to be pretty big. And I did a post, and that got a lot of traction as well. I did a post about when I go to these ministries, these different ministries that go into the prisons, and they'll have, you got your regulars that do it all the time. And then you got people who are just invited, and they feel a calling to jump into this arena, to go in and preach to the prisoners. And where I come in at is they provide entertainment for the prisoners. And then after the prisoners are entertained, they give them some food, entertainment, and then they preach to them. They give the word to them. And so it's kind of hard because it takes a certain kind of performer to be able to reach a diverse crowd of people, because you got to think about a prison population. You got young, old, different ethnic backgrounds, and different music tastes. And God, I feel blessed that I'm able to do it because it will blow your mind. And I knew I had a gift. The very first prison, I did one in Alabama one time, and we was in a pod, and it had to be about 45 men in this one pod, looked like. And it was, like I said, guys with tattoos in their face and arms. And I started doing my thing, and I do a Motown review for them. You can't go wrong with Motown. Everybody know My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg. And it's nothing like seeing big, strong men with tattoos in their face and on their head, and black, white, Puerto Rican, everybody singing my girl, talking about. It's a beautiful thing. And I knew I had a gift then. And I've been rolling ever since. Back to what I was saying, the volunteers sometimes look nervous. They like a word, like in the parking lot, they act one way, but once they get around the prisoners, oh, they're nervous, or they a little extra something. I don't know what to call it, but it's just extra. For me, it's no big deal. One thing I don't do is ask people why they're there, because remember, in my mind, we all the same. They just got caught. There's no telling what, we all from the same pot of stew. So I can't think of myself higher than them because they are here. Another thing is, and I said this in the post, I'm going to put this on the Instagram, Saradcast Instagram, the actual post I did. But, Martin Luther King, he was in jail, I think. He didn't go to prison. Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela, prison. Rosa Parks, she was in jail. Martin Luther King, jail. All the civil rights leaders were arrested and locked up at some point. So I don't know who's in the population of the jail. It could be greatness out there. And even if they're not great, they deserve to be served a smile and to be treated like they are human. And so I'm not nervous around any of the prisoners or anything. It's just people that just have to be locked up. And hopefully they get out. And hopefully my light shining in that dark place might be the thing to help turn their world around. Just a kind word and a sincere hug if they need it. And what's wrong with that? So I just wanted to share it. Sir Rod and Blues Doctor is going to be recording in Parchment Prison sometime. I don't know. I'll let you know the exact date. And then here in Georgia, I'll be going to a women's facility. I don't have the name with me right now. I just want to give you the heads up that this is what I do. And this brings us to the final segment of the program. And that is, backed by popular demand, many requests. Time for the joke of the day. Yeah, joke of the day. Now we're going to do things a little different. I got to put my spectacles on. I'm reading from the Joke Bible, Joketopia. We're going to do things a little different. Back in the day, Johnny Carson used to do this, and I think it'll be appropriate for the joke of the day. I'm going to give you the punchline first. Then I'm going to read you the rest of the joke. Joke of the day. The punchline is trick or treat. Trick or treat. That is the punchline. Trick or treat. And here's the rest of it. What do squirrels say on Halloween? Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Yeah, I know. What do squirrels say on Halloween? Trick or treat. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the joke of the day.
The views expressed by Sir Rod and his thoughts are not necessarily the views of this organization, channel, the state, county, or anyone else in the world. Furthermore, the advice given is not to be used as legal, spiritual, or for exorcisms. Please consult a lawyer or rabbi for legal or spiritual advice, and for exorcisms seek a Catholic priest.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the final segment of the program. Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts and the recap. My thought of the day is there's been a barrage of rappers battling online. Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and I think it was some other rapper got devastated with some, I forget the name of these rappers. I don't really follow like that, and I think that's a good thing. But what I'm amazed at is the happiness to hear two brothers tear each other down. And I guess that's the rap game, I guess. That's an awful game, I think, because I just don't like the energy. You know, I guess I'm old school. I'm for brotherhood and bringing things together. And it's just amazing to me that people's ears perk up for negative stuff. And that's why I know that this podcast thing is going to be slow going for me, because it's on a positive tip. I'm surrounded by peace and love. That's what I want to put out. And I know what I'm competing against. I'm competing against twerking. I'm competing against the cussing and fussing and putting people down and political divisions and just anything festering and negative. It is tickling of the ears that these people love. But I just want you to think about this. If your ears perk up for things like that with the Drake and the Kendrick Lamar fiasco, and if your ears perk up for that and you're happy, that's kind of like what I consider, if your mind gets happy over what I consider mental junk food, you might want to try to start changing your mental diet and start feeding on some more positive stuff. But you'll be amazed how that food, that mental junk food, makes it easier for depression to set in, and jealousy and anger issues, and all that's from that diet. This is my thoughts now. You heard the lawyer's disclaimer at the beginning. These are just my thoughts, that if you fester too much on that stuff, it'll start affecting you. You know, that old saying, you are what you eat, your mind is what you think. You know, if you're feeding it junk food, it's only going to regurgitate what you're putting in it. I just think it'd be a better way to get attention, but it's hard out here. I see, people people are doing anything for attentions, and it's just sad. Female rappers have to do to get attention. But do they really? You know that there are 8 billion people in the world. I believe that with 8 billion, you've got super fans. Every person that has a dream to try to do, there's 1 million super fans for each person trying to do something. At least 1 million super fans. Every singer, every dancer, every ballerina. You don't have to go the negative route. It's a quick fix, but at what cost? And the girls, the females out there, I call it, they'll start off with a swimsuit and they'll get a lot of hits. Then they show a little more skin. They get a little more. Eventually, they have to keep feeding the machine. Eventually, they're doing things that will ruin their career because the internet is like a tattoo. And I try to tell this to young folks in the school when I go speak to them. It's a tattoo that once you put it on, you can't get it off. It ain't like a tattoo would be easier because you can get a laser and take that off or get skin removal. But the internet, I don't care what they tell you. It's out there somewhere. It lives forever. So be careful what you're posting and what you're doing and what you're taking in, what's tickling your ears. All right, I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up. I just want to share my thoughts. Listen, reach out to me, Sir Rod Cast, if you got any thoughts or any commentary about what I'm saying. If you think I'm dead wrong, I might be wrong, I might be right. It's just my thoughts. Sir Rod Cast at gmail.com. Also, like and share this. We got to grow this. I have to have an audience before I start bringing in guests. So, like, share, send me suggestions. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your attention. Most of all, I want to thank you for listening. You didn't have to, but you did. You gave me just a little bit of your time today. Now I got one suggestion for you. Go out and find something else better to do. Get out in that world and go get it. And then let me know what you did. Peace. Have a blessed day.